without much further ado, I know that many of you are eagerly anticipating. Like I said earlier, we have tremendous hakaras hatov for Rabbi Frand for making the trip, and we'll listen to be behind us with a few words.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Bender Jr. I made one mistake in coming here, and that is that your typical parlor meeting is cake and soda. So I brought with me some leftover hamburgers from last week, which I ate in Penn Station. The ambiance is there, is not to be equaled. And so here I come, and it's mamish a suda shleima b'shaitai. And that is due to the Zvi Bloom and his Rebbitzin. And really, they opened up this house in a magnificent fashion, and you know, they should be, the Rebbeinu Shalom should be Misham Scharam. They should have nachas from their children. They should have gezut and parnasa. They should be able to be a svad l'chachomim and l'achsanya for tzedakah of a chesed for many years to come. Amen. I think that if you're sitting in the front row over here, it's very crowded, and that's because there are two people that are bursting with pride, and that is Rabbi Bender Sr. and Rabbi Shmuel Bloom. Not often that you have two very, very accomplished people, successful people that have been moser to the klal for so many years, and here they're getting the gresta nachas that any parent could want, and that is that they see that their children are carrying on the tradition of being Isaac B'tzarech Tzibur B'Emunah. Rabbi Bloom has his son Tzvi, who's very, very active in Torah B'Sar besides tonight's event, and Rabbi Bender Sr. seeing his son carry on this tradition, not only of him, but of his parents and his in-laws. And really it's, I'm mekana the nachas, mekana in the best possible way, I'm mekana the nachas that you must be shepherding tonight. You know, I've been asked many times at this time of year to come to speak at a parlor meeting, but invariably the parlor meetings have to do with some kind of Ma'aseh HaTorah. When you speak for a Ma'aseh HaTorah before Shavuos, it is what I call an easy assignment. If you can't tie in a Ma'aseh HaTorah with Kabbalas HaTorah, it's about time that you hung up your speakers, whatever it is that speakers use, because if you can't make that connection, give it up. However, tonight's parlor meeting is somewhat of a greater challenge, and that is because it is almost there of Shavuos. I'm not going to say what night it is of the Omer tonight, so I can continue making a bracha. But this is a Ma'aseh HaChesed. It's not a Ma'aseh of Torah. And therefore the question is, the challenge is, what's the kesher between the Yontif of Shavuos and a Ma'aseh like Achiezer, which is a Ma'aseh of that is a tremendous Ma'aseh in Besach Sanya for Chesed. Truth be told, it's not a stretch. And you do not have to be a Goyin Olam to be Mekasher, the Inyan of Chesed, with the Kabbalas HaTorah. The Medrash says, it's a Medrash Lekach Tov, the Medrash says, Lama Kairen Megillah Zu B'chag HaShuos. Why do we read Megillah's Rus? Sagt the Medrash, Megillah Zu Kulei Chesed, V'HaTorah Kulei Chesed, Shenemar V'seres Chesed Al Lashona, V'nitna B'chag HaShuos. The Medrash says that Megillah Esther is all about Chesed. And on the Yontif of Shavuos, which is the Yontif of Kabbalas HaTorah, we have to infuse the Torah with Chesed, because V'seres Chesed Al Lashona, because Torah is a Torah's Chesed. So Memela, that's why we in fact read the Megillah Esther with Chesed, because in order to be Mekabli HaTorah, we have to first learn Torah's Chesed. If we learn Torah's Chesed, then our Torah can be a Torah sheyeshi machesed. And that's what we learn from Megillah Rus. But there's a medrash that's even more emphatic. It's actually a troubling medrash. Amar Zeira Megillah zu ein by leituma v'leitayra le'yisr v'leheter. This Megillah doesn't have tuma v'tayra le'yisr v'heter v'loma nichtava le'lamedcha schar toiv shel goyim le'chasadim. That the tachlis of this Megillah is to teach us, look what Rebbeinu Shalom does for people that are raised in Chesed. And this is terribly ironic. It's incredibly ironic. Because we learn this out of all people from Rus HaMoyaviyah. For if there is one nation, if there is one ummah that personifies the lack of Chesed, it is the nation of Moav. The very nation, the very name of Moav comes from Me'ov. It's a self-centered, self-focused type of people. The Torah forbids marrying anybody from Moav, at least the males from Moav. So the Pasuk, Le'yovi Amoni Moavi Bikal Hashem, Al Asher Dvar Asher Lekidnu Eschem Balechem Uvamayim Baderech B'Tzeischem Mitzrayim. That the Torah forbids La'olam Voed to marry into a Moavi or to a Moavi and an Amani, because of their terrible midas, of their lack of chesed. That they wouldn't even lay me by, they wouldn't give us water, they wouldn't sell it to us. That's because they are so self-focused, so meshul from chesed. This can't become a part of Klal Yisrael. And if there is one nation that is misamel, that personifies midas hachesed, it's Klal Yisrael. That's what the Gemara says in Yevamis. Gimel midas yesh b'umazu. Shloisha simonim yesh b'umazu. Rachmanim, Baishanim, and Gaimlei Chasadim. And yet at the time of Rus there was a role reversal. This Klal Yisrael that's supposed to embody chesed forgot what it means to be Bali Chesed. There's an incredible Chazal. The Gemara says in Bava Basra, Eizehu dor shekulei hevel, heviyomer zeh dorish al shveit hasheftim. Megillah Rus begins with those words, Vayhi bimei shveit hasheftim. Says the Gemara in Bava Basra, if you want a door that's kulei hevel, that's nothing, that's vanity, this is the door of the sheftim. And Chazal indict the door of after Yoshua with an indictment that is literally unheard of. The pasuk says on the pasuk in Mishli, Atzela tapil tardema, says the Medrash on the pasuk Vayikbu say bigvul nachalasai mitzvayin lahar gosh. They buried Yoshua in a place mitzvayin lahar gosh. Says say Chazal Amar Abrachia Chazarnu al kol hamikra v'lei matzanu makam sheshmoi har gosh. There's no such place in Eretz Yisrael called Har Gosh. So what does it mean that they buried Yoshua ben Nun in Har Gosh? Zot the Gemara Lefishin is Goshu Yisrael me'aseis gemilas chesed liYeshua. Because Klal Yisrael failed to give Yoshua ben Nun the proper hesped, the proper kavod achron. Can you imagine that? Yoshua ben Nun that fought with the Lamanalf Melochim of Canaan, that gave them the nachla that was there for them, and they weren't maspedim karoi, they didn't come to his levaya, they didn't make a spadim. Zot the Gemara ba'isa shah, zon Chazal ba'isa shah, nischalka Eretz Yisrael, v'isa chaluka chaviv alem yisimidai. You know why? Because they were too busy. They were too busy settling the land. This guy was busy with his field, this guy with his vineyard, this was with his zaysim. Lefichach nisgashu milases gemilas chesed leYeshua. Stell sich vor, imagine there's a levaya, a hesped mar, for Yeshua ben Nun, and people don't show up. Why? I'm too busy. I'm tilling my field. So Chazal say the Rebbeinu Shalom wanted to cause an earthquake to bury them all. This is the Yemei Shveit HaSheiftim. This is the Dor Shel Kulei Hevel. It's a door that has this too busy working on themselves and caring about themselves that they can't even go to the hesped of Yeshua ben Nun. Ubikesh HaKadosh Baruch Hu lahari shaysam es kolayim kulay. That's the Hargosh. It is in this context that the story of Rus occurs. That this Klal Yisrael, that's supposed to be Rachmanim Baishanim and Goynle Chasadim, has to learn a lesson from a shikse from Moav, from all nations Moav. They have to be taught what it means to do chesed again and back to their own roots. In a certain sense, we live in a dor lahavdal shekulei hevel. Not Klal Yisrael, but the Umas Ha'olam. The kulei hevel, the things that people are busy with. I'm not talking about merely the overwhelming materialism that occupies and preoccupies this country, but the self-centeredness that is so rampant today, caring about me, myself, and I. You know, I recently darshaned on the subject of narcissism. Narcissism is a Greek word that means self-worship. I was motivated to speak about this because I saw an interesting book. I read an interesting book. It's called The Narcissism Epidemic. It's a book by two secular, non-Jewish social scientists that marshal overwhelming statistics and anecdotes to demonstrate how America is so self-centered and self-possessed. It's all about me. Just to quote you a couple of statistics, in the 1950s, 12% of high school seniors said that they were, quote, a very important person. By the 1990s, the figure had risen to over 90%. 90% of high school seniors think that they are very important. High school seniors are garnished. They have done nothing. They think they're a very important person. And one of the anecdotes this I found very interesting. Today, people give their children unique names. Like in the 1940s, 30% of all people gave a name that was one of the top 30% of the favorite names. The most favorite names in the 1940s were James and Mary. There were 10 most popular names, and 30% of the entire population gave those names. Today, you have to give a unique name to your child, because your child is unique. Because your child is the gift, God's gift to humanity. And even if you deign to give your child just a regular name, it has to have a unique spelling. Do you know how Michael is spelled today? Not M-I-C-H-A-E-L. It's M-Y-C-H-A-L. Why? Because he's not just a regular Mikey. He's Michael. M-Y-C-H-L. You know, you'll pardon me for this mention, but you know, as Chatani Maskir Ayoim, I used to watch football games. So what happens when a guy scores a touchdown? The guy scores a touchdown. He goes in the end zone, puts the ball down, and then now a guy scores a touchdown.